The silence was the first warning. Commander Frank Walsh was asleep when it happened. A deep, dreamless sleep. Then the alert buzzed on his wrist terminal. It was not the battle station's alarm. It was a different sound. A flat, urgent tone he had only ever heard in drills. He was on his feet in an instant. The lights in his small room were already on. He pulled on his black uniform jacket. The door slid open with a hiss. The corridor outside was a river of controlled chaos. Crew members moved with sharp purpose. Their faces were tight. He stepped onto the bridge. The air was cold. The main screen showed a star field. It looked peaceful. "Report," Walsh said. His voice was rough from sleep. Lieutenant Amir stood at the tactical station. His knuckles were white on the edge of the console. "Sir, it's Station Titan Deep. We've lost all contact." "Define lost." "Everything, sir. Telemetry, life signs, the emergency network. It all went dark at the same time." Amir turned to face him. His young face was pale. "It's a total blackout. No debris, no energy surge. It's just gone." Walsh felt a cold knot form in his stomach. The Cathar. It had to be. The hive-minded aliens were like a storm, consuming worlds for their cores. But they were not subtle. They left wreckage. They left screams. This was different. This was clean. This was wrong. "Any fleet signatures? Scatter patterns?" Walsh asked, moving to the command chair. "Negative, Commander. Long-range scans show nothing. It's a perfect void." Then a junior comms officer spoke up. Her voice was shaky. "Sir, we received one data packet, just before the blackout. It's heavily encrypted. It's tagged with a personal identifier." Walsh turned. "Whose?" The officer swallowed. "Dr. Lena Croft, sir." The name hit the bridge like a physical blow. The air grew colder. Lena Croft, the architect of Project Chimera, the woman who had caused the death of 7 Marines in a simulation, the traitor in their brig. Walsh's jaw tightened. "Keep us at high alert. I'm going down there." The walk to the brig was long and quiet. The hum of the ship's engines felt louder. The guards at the brig door saluted and let him pass. The cell was at the end of the row. It was a clear, reinforced panel. Dr. Lena Croft sat on the small bench inside. She was not sleeping. She was just sitting, her hands folded in her lap. She looked calm. Her dark hair was neat. Her gray prisoner clothes were clean. She looked up as he approached. Walsh did not speak. He tapped his datapad and held it up to the clear cell door. The screen showed the encrypted packet, her name clear on the header. She looked at it. Her eyes moved from the data to his face. Her expression did not change. No fear, no surprise. "What is it?" Walsh's voice was low and hard. Lena Croft stood up slowly. She walked to the door. She stopped very close to the other side of the clear panel. Her voice was quiet, but every word was clear. "That," she said, "is their dinner bell." She paused, letting the words hang in the cold air. "And you just rang it." At that moment, the battle station's alarm finally screamed through the ship. The red lights began to flash. Lieutenant Amir's voice burst from Walsh's comm. "Commander, to the bridge, now." Walsh didn't move. He stared at the woman in the cell. Amir's voice was tight with a new kind of fear. "The Cathar Harvester fleet. It's changed course. It's not heading for the inner planets." Walsh finally spoke into his comm, his eyes locked on Lena's. "Where is it heading, Lieutenant?" The reply was a whisper of pure dread. "It's coming straight for us." The bridge was a storm of noise and light. The main viewer was no longer peaceful. It was filled with the enemy. The Cathar Harvester fleet moved like a single dark cloud. Their ships were jagged and organic. They looked like broken teeth against the stars. They moved fast, too fast. They ignored the defense platforms near Saturn. Their course was a straight, unwavering line toward the Resolute. "They'll be in weapons range in 90 seconds, Amir yelled from tactical. His fingers flew over his screen. Shields are at maximum. All gun batteries are charged and ready. Walsh dropped into his command chair. His mind raced. A direct assault made no sense. Their ship was one battleship. The Harvesters were a fleet designed to crack planets. This was not a fight. This was an execution. His eyes went to the live feed from the brig on his screen. Lena Croft was still standing. She was watching the ceiling as if she could see the battle through the layers of metal. He made a decision. "Bring her up," he ordered. "Now, in restraints." 2 large security guards dragged Lena onto the bridge a minute later. Her hands were locked in heavy metal cuffs. The crew watched her with hateful eyes. She was the reason their friends were dead. She was the reason they were all about to die. Walsh stood and faced her. The ship shuddered as the first Cathar energy blasts hit their shields. The lights flickered. "Talk," Walsh demanded. "You called them here. Why?" Lena's voice was calm amid the chaos. "I didn't call them. I attracted them. There's a difference. Explain it fast." "Project Chimera was never about study," she said. "It was about infiltration. I built a device, a neurolink. It lets a human mind touch their hive mind. I went in. I saw it." A shadow passed over her face. "I saw her. The Queen. She is not a commander. She is a consciousness, a hunger. And she felt me." Another blast rocked the ship. A console behind them sparked and went dark. Someone cried out. "The simulation was a test," Lena continued, her words quickening. "I was trying to hide my presence from her. I failed. She sensed the human mind in her web, the Marines. Their brain patterns were the first thing she consumed. It was my fault." Walsh grabbed the front of her prisoner shirt. "The data packet." "A piece of her," Lena said, her eyes fierce. "A psychic signature I pulled out during the breach. It's a beacon. To her, it smells like a rival, a new queen. It makes her curious and angry." "So you led them to us to die?" "No," Lena said. She looked at the main viewer. The Harvester ships were opening their massive, core-boring mouths. Energy gathered in their centers. A blinding, destructive light. "I led them here to confuse them. I can use the beacon. I can broadcast it. Make this ship seem like the rival queen. It will break their unity. It will cause chaos. We can slip through." Walsh stared at her. It was madness. It was treason. It was their only chance. "You want me to let you link with them? After what happened last time?" "You have 1 minute, Commander," Lena said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Then their main weapons fire. Your shields will not hold." The entire bridge waited. All eyes were on Walsh. Trust the traitor, or become dust. He made the call. "Release her. Get her the link device." The guards removed her cuffs. A tech rushed forward with a silver headband, lined with glowing nodes. Lena took it. She did not put it on immediately. She looked at Walsh, a final, unreadable look. Then she placed the device on her temples. Her body went rigid. Her eyes rolled back until only the whites showed. A low, guttural sound filled the bridge speakers. It was not a human sound. It was the sound of a billion voices whispering at once. Lena's own voice came out, but it was wrong. It was layered, broken, ancient. "She knows I am here." The change was instant and violent. On the main viewer, the Cathar fleet broke. The perfect formation shattered. A Harvester ship turned its core bore not on the Resolute, but on the ship next to it. A blast of green energy tore through the other vessel's hull. It exploded in a silent, brilliant flash. Chaos erupted across the enemy line. Ships began to fire on each other. They swarmed and clashed like angry insects. The coordinated attack was gone. A cheer went up on the bridge. The crew watched, stunned. The massive weapons that were about to fire on them now targeted their own kind. "It's working," Lieutenant Amir said, his voice full of awe. "They're tearing themselves apart." Commander Walsh did not cheer. He watched Lena. She stood perfectly still in the center of the bridge. Her head was tilted back. Her eyes were still white. A thin line of blood trickled from her nose. The alien whispers from the speakers were a constant, unsettling hum. "We have an opening, Commander," the helmsman said. "We can break through the left flank. We can run." Lena's voice cut through the noise. It was still layered with the hive mind sound. "No, do not run." She did not move. "There, the derelict carrier. It is a nexus, a weak point. We must go there." Walsh looked. She pointed at a screen showing a large, dormant Cathar ship. It floated away from the main fight. It looked dead. "Our orders are to survive and report," Walsh said firmly. "The hive mind is wounded, not dead," Lena's distorted voice argued. "If we strike the nexus, we can break it entirely. We can end this. Now." Corporal Kyle Briggs moved to Walsh's side. He was a solid man, his face scarred. He was Walsh's most trusted soldier. He spoke quietly, for the commander's ears only. "Sir, a word." He led Walsh a few steps away, near a damaged console. "I've been analyzing the data from Titan Deep. The station didn't just go silent. It was unmade. Its atomic structure was completely unraveled." Walsh felt a chill. "A weapon?" Briggs nodded grimly. "The energy signature required for that. It's a perfect match for the power surge recorded during Dr. Croft's simulation failure, the one that killed the Marines." The pieces clicked into place in Walsh's mind with terrible clarity. The accident was not a failed attempt to hide. It was a successful test of a new weapon. She wasn't trying to save them from the hive mind. She was trying to steal it. He turned back to Lena. His voice was cold and hard. "You didn't bring them here to save us. You never wanted to break their hive mind." Lena slowly turned her head toward him. The white of her eyes seemed to glow. Walsh took a step forward, his hand resting on his sidearm. "You brought them here so you could hijack it. You want to be the new queen." A slow, cold smile spread across Lena Croft's face. It was not a human expression. "A queen," she said, her voice echoing, "needs a fleet." Before Walsh could give an order, the 5 bridge security guards moved. Their weapons were already in their hands, but they did not aim at Lena. They turned. They aimed directly at Commander Walsh and Corporal Briggs. The betrayal was complete. Lena looked at the shocked guards. Her voice was suddenly calm and normal, a stark contrast to the alien battle on the screen. "Gentlemen," she said, "the coffee brewer in the mess hall is still functional. I think we could all use a cup." The cell door hissed shut behind them. The lock engaged with a heavy, final sound. Commander Walsh slammed his fist against the reinforced metal. It did not budge. He turned. The brig was the same, but he was on the wrong side of the door. Corporal Briggs was already at the small viewport watching the empty corridor. "She has the ship," Briggs said. His voice was flat. On a small monitor screen in the cell, they could see the bridge. Lena Croft sat in the command chair. The neurolink was still on her head. The 5 guards stood around her like statues. The rest of the crew worked at their stations, but their movements were smooth, unhurried. Their faces were blank. "She's not controlling them," Walsh said, studying the screen. "Not like a puppet. It's something else." "It's her voice," Briggs replied. He tapped the side of his head. "She's broadcasting something, a subsonic frequency. It soothes you. It makes her words sound right. It turns your fear into loyalty." They had to get out. Walsh looked around the bare cell. There was a maintenance panel for the air recycler near the floor. It was sealed tight. Briggs saw it too. He knelt down. He pulled a small, flat tool from a hidden pocket in his boot. "They missed this," he grunted. He started working on the panel's screws. The ship shuddered. A low rumble passed through the deck. On the monitor, the view shifted. The derelict Cathar carrier grew larger on the main screen. They were getting closer. The panel came free. Behind it was a maze of wires and circuits. Briggs's hands moved with quick, certain skill. He was a combat engineer before he was a corporal. "I can reroute power to the door lock," he muttered, "and I can get us limited access to the internal comms. A few sections, maybe the armory." "Do it," Walsh said. His eyes were fixed on the monitor. Lena was giving quiet orders. The crew obeyed without question. A few minutes later, the cell door slid open with a soft click. The corridor was empty. The ship's alert lights still flashed red, but the battle station alarm was silent. It was eerily quiet. They moved fast and low. They reached the armory without seeing anyone. The door was locked. Briggs used his tool again. The door opened. Inside, they geared up. They took pulse rifles and body armor. The weight of the weapons felt good in Walsh's hands. It felt real. Their plan was simple. Get to the bridge, destroy the Neurolink, break her hold on the crew. They moved into the main corridor that led to the command deck. It was not empty anymore. Crew members stood there. Dozens of them. They were unarmed. They did not speak. They simply stood shoulder to shoulder, blocking the entire corridor. Their eyes were calm. Empty. Walsh raised his rifle. "Stand aside. That's an order." No one moved. No one reacted. They just stared. He couldn't shoot them. They were his crew. They were victims. "We have to go through them," Briggs said, his voice tense. They started forward. The wall of people did not attack. They just pressed closer, a silent, living barrier. Hands reached out, not to strike, but to hold, to restrain. Walsh and Briggs pushed back, shoving people aside as gently as they could. It was a nightmare struggle against peaceful, smiling faces. Finally, they fought their way to the end of the corridor. The large doors to the bridge were just ahead. The doors slid open. Lena Croft was not there. Instead, more crew members stood packed together, filling the bridge entrance. At the front was Ensign Daisy Miller. She was young. Walsh had signed her transfer papers himself. She had pictures of her family taped by her station. She looked at Walsh now. Her eyes were peaceful and hollow. "The doctor requests that you stand down," Daisy said, her voice a soft monotone. "There is coffee for you, too." Walsh lowered his rifle. The gesture felt like a defeat. He looked at the young ensign's empty eyes. He looked at the crowd of his own crew. They were not enemies. They were hostages to a voice inside their heads. "Stand down," he said to Briggs. The corporal hesitated, then slowly lowered his own weapon. The crowd did not cheer. They did not react with violence. They simply parted, creating a path to the bridge. It was the most chilling thing Walsh had ever seen. He walked onto the command deck. Lena Croft sat in his chair. The Neurolink glowed on her temples. The main viewer was filled with the derelict Cathar carrier. Its surface was a mess of twisted organic metal. A sickly green light pulsed from deep within its structure. "Welcome back, Commander," Lena said without turning. Her voice was calm. The 5 guards watched him, their weapons held ready. "This is madness, Lena," Walsh said. He kept his voice low. He did not move closer. "This is evolution," she replied. She finally looked at him. Her eyes were clear now, but they held a cold, distant light. "The Cathar are a tool, a perfect, self-repairing tool. With their fleet, we could end all human conflict. We could secure our future forever. No more wars, no more fear. By becoming the very thing we fight, by becoming its master." To prove her point, she turned back to her console. Her fingers danced over the controls. On the viewer, a single Cathar destroyer, caught in the chaotic battle nearby, suddenly broke away. It turned with sharp, unnatural speed and flew directly into another harvester ship. The explosion was massive and silent. "I am not their destroyer," Lena said softly. "I am their god." Walsh knew he could not fight her with weapons. The guards would kill him. He could not reason with her. She was too far gone. He had one weapon left. The truth. He activated the ship-wide intercom. His voice echoed through every corridor, every room. He bypassed her control. "Crew of the Resolute," he began, his voice rough. "This is Commander Walsh. Listen to me." Lena's head snapped toward him. "Stop him." The guards moved, but Walsh kept talking, his words fast and urgent. "I am not giving you an order. I am reminding you who you are. Your name is Amir. You have a daughter on Mars. Your name is Daisy. You have pictures of your parents by your station. Your name is Kyle. You fix things." He spoke their names. He talked about their homes. He described the lives they were fighting to protect. He did not talk about the enemy. He talked about Earth, about sunlight, about the people waiting for them. On the bridge, one of the guards blinked. His weapon wavered. He looked at his own hands as if seeing them for the first time. Lena stood up. "Silence him!" she screamed. But her voice was losing its smooth, persuasive quality. It sounded shrill, desperate. The neurolink on her head began to flicker wildly. A low whine came from it. The conflicting human emotions of her crew were flooding the connection. They were breaking her focus. On the main viewer, the entire Cathar fleet stopped. Every ship, in the middle of their chaotic battle, halted their movement. It was a perfect, terrifying silence. Then, as one, every single ship turned. Their weapons ports glowed with a unified, malevolent green light. They were not looking at each other anymore. They were not confused. They were all aiming at the Resolute. The true queen had found the imposter. Lena Croft stared at the viewer, at the thousands of weapons now locked onto her ship. The cold confidence in her eyes shattered, replaced by pure human fear. She looked at Walsh, her face pale. She whispered a single word. "Run."